Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about a film stock that goes pretty under the radar in the film world. That is Kodak Ektar 100. Ektar is a mid-range single ISO 100 speed film from Kodak, which is marketed as having the world's finest grain. It's known for its high levels of detail, its warm saturated colours, and, surprise surprise, for its extremely low grain. Sitting at a price point between budget stocks like Golden Ultramax and your pro-level portrait and slide film, it can kind of seem like Ektar gets lost in the ether. I know for a fact that I've shot Ektar before, but I cannot for the life of me remember what I shot, when I shot, or how I felt about the results, which means that it's probably pretty lost in the ether with me as well. Because of this, I grabbed a roll of 35mm and a roll of 120 and headed out to shoot, both to refresh my memory and to test it out. I took Marley down to the beautiful Chatsworth House estate a couple of days ago with some stunning winter sunshine, even though Storm Aisha was causing absolute chaos with fallen leaves flying everywhere. That's also why I couldn't really record much while I was out shooting. I shot the 35mm on my Canon A1 and I shot the 120 on my Mamiya 645. Here are a few of my favourite shots from both rolls. Now, as you can see, in the shots with the bright sunlight, the warm, saturated colours really come through. I really like especially the way that it renders blues, like those in the river in front of the house. It's definitely something that I want to shoot more of on a sunny day at the coast, maybe like down in Devon or Cornwall, and just see how it renders the sea against the rugged coastline. I think it could create some stunning results. In the more overcast shots, where there's some cloud cover, the shots are much cooler because of that sensitivity that the stock seems to have to blues. I do still think that it produces really desirable results. They're just slightly different to those when shooting in bright light. In a few of the shots, especially those taken at the end when I was finishing the rolls off, you can see that reds and magentas really come through. And this is why, on the whole, Ektar is not a stock that's known for its use in portraiture, especially with subjects that have pale or pinkish skin tones like myself. Having said that, I think with the right exposure, it could produce some really striking portraits as long as you've got the right subject and the right lighting conditions. As expected, the detail in the images is very impressive, with no noticeable grain living up to that marketing claim, although I'm not quite sure how you qualify which film stock has the finest grain, but it's definitely going to be up there. I do think that because of the saturation and the detail, in many situations, Ektar is going to give you results that are very similar to those that you'd get from slide film, but at a much lower cost. Another benefit of Ektar over slide film is its exposure latitude. Especially when it comes to overexposure, Ektar seems to be able to handle that extra light without losing much detail in the highlights whatsoever, which would suggest that Kodak's claim of it having around 9 stops of latitude could well be pretty accurate. Speaking of exposure, I would definitely suggest erring on the side of overexposure as opposed to underexposure, as with underexposure the shadows can push a little bit closer towards blues than blacks, whereas with overexposure, as I just said, it's much more forgiving. Finally, not that it's something that I'm currently in a position to do, but from what I've been able to find out online, scanning Ektar negatives can be a little bit more challenging, or at least from the research that I've done. What I'll do is I'll show you a couple of side-by-sides now with the scans that I got back from the lab compared to my final tweaked images. To be honest, I do think that other than a slight colour shifting and a little bit of a change in the levels, the scans were pretty accurate, although I have online seen examples where the scans that people have received are almost unrecognisable. As I said earlier, I definitely want to shoot some more Ektar, definitely want to shoot it at the coast, and I'd also like to try out shooting some street photography with it where conditions will allow me to. I've also seen online some great examples of night photography images that have been shot on Ektar. Now this would definitely interest me, as with it being a film stock that's got really saturated colours, really high levels of detail, and it being ISO 100, I think that it could really create some nice stuff with artificial light. But as always, I'd love to hear your experience of shooting Ektar. What did you shoot? How did you get on with it? Is it something that you would shoot again? If you've not shot it before, is it a stock that you've got any interest in? Or are you more interested in either Kodak's budget or pro options as opposed to something that's kind of in the middle? Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your comments. I'd love to hear from you and what you think. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.